This is War of the Suns, the Chinese War of Resistance 1937 to 1945. This is a quick rules video. It's an addition to the movement section. I didn't really go into special movement types. There are 4 of these. There's administrative movement, which I did describe. That is when you're using sea transport, rail, air or river transport. You're effectively described as being doing administrative movement. I've already explained with that you can sort of share that with normal movement. You can enter like an administrative move along a rail line, move as far as you can, then come off and then do normal movement. So that's just really a clarification on that. We also describe movement mode. That's the bit where you can switch modes, and this is basically it gives you extra movement. You like double your movement allowance. You've got to be able to trace a supply from every hex that it ends as during that movement phase. Cannot move into or out of enemy zones of control. While you're moving, you exert a limited zone of control. If you are normally limited, exerts a limited zone of control if either limited or standard zone of control as its normal state. Defends with half its normal defense strength if attacked. A unit with a defense strength of 0 is eliminated if it's doing movement mode and it gets into an enemy zone of control. Movement mode can also be combined with administrative movement. Next type is overrun. Overrun is during the movement phase. A stack including at least 1 armour or mechanised infantry can attempt to overrun an adjacent enemy occupied hex. The phasing side amounts the attempt and then has every unit in the stack spend 1 extra movement point and attack the enemy occupied hex. Both offensive and defensive ground support can be used in this overrun attack. If the enemy unit remains in the defending hex after the overrun attack, the overrun stack move is over. If the hex is empty, the stack may continue moving as long as it has movement points left. The final type of movement is defensive reserve movement. And this is during the combat phase after the phasing side has actually declared all its attacks. Enemy ground units in a holding box, sorry. Enemy ground units in a holding box or stacked on the map with an HQ and under full command may perform defensive reserve movement. They can reach, so long as they can reach the attacked hex with their movement allowance, and for on-map units, the HQ chit of the HQ is not in its activation complete row. The phasing side then may then cancel any of its attacks or rearrange them, either by adding extra units adjacent to the attack or by having declared units target and another adjacent hex. So basically, if the enemy's defensive movement puts the situation into an unfavourable one for the attacker, you've got quite a lot of options of even attacking an extra hex, a different hex, or bringing extra units into the original attack. Finally, we have post-combat movement, which involves units after a combat maybe having to perform a retreat, or after a combat performing an advance. That covers all the special movement types.